Throughout history, there's a recurring theme. The heroes of one era can become the villains of another, and vice versa. Perspectives change as new values emerge, and so does the way we view iconic figures. Political leaders, monarchs, and military strategists who once represented the epitome of virtue or villainy are now seen through a more complex lens. This video delves into the reputations of some of history's most prominent leaders, exploring how time has altered their legacies and how each represents the malleable nature of fame and infamy. Abraham Lincoln. From divisive leader to symbol of unity. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is celebrated today as the man who preserved the Union and abolished slavery. However, during his presidency, Lincoln was a polarizing figure. His election in 1860 in a four-way contest divided the nation so sharply that 7 southern states seceded, triggering the Civil War. His decision to issue the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, while widely praised now, was viewed by some at the time as a tactical move aimed at weakening the Confederacy rather than a pure act of liberation. He faced significant opposition from political rivals and even within his own cabinet, where several members doubted his leadership abilities. Lincoln's suspension of habeas corpus and other wartime measures raised accusations of overreach and authoritarianism. Despite these criticisms, Lincoln's legacy underwent a dramatic transformation after his assassination in 1865. His sudden death elevated him to martyrdom, allowing Americans to remember him as the president who united a fractured nation. Over time, the narrative of Lincoln as a compassionate and wise leader who fought for freedom took precedence, overshadowing the complexities and criticisms of his presidency. While modern historians acknowledge his limitations, especially on racial equality, Lincoln's legacy remains one of moral leadership and resilience, symbolizing unity and equality. Cleopatra, seductress or savvy leader. Cleopatra V2, the last queen of Egypt's Ptolemaic dynasty, is one of history's most enigmatic figures. She ruled Egypt from 51 to 30 BCE, during a time of immense political tension between Rome and Egypt. Known for her intelligence, political savvy, and charm, Cleopatra formed alliances with powerful Roman leaders like Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, hoping to maintain Egypt's independence. However, following her defeat by Octavian, later Augustus, Roman propaganda portrayed her as a seductress who wielded her beauty to manipulate Rome. Ancient Roman writers, including Dio Cassius and Plutarch, often described her as morally corrupt, a femme fatale who ensnared men in her schemes. Renaissance and Victorian art reinforced this image, depicting her as the quintessential temptress. In recent years, however, scholars have re-evaluated Cleopatra's legacy, recognizing her as a competent and intelligent ruler who spoke multiple languages and was one of the few Ptolemies to embrace Egyptian culture. Modern feminist perspectives celebrate Cleopatra as a woman who exercised agency and power in a male-dominated world. This reinterpretation acknowledges her political acumen, framing her as a skilled diplomat and leader rather than a mere seductress. Today, Cleopatra's legacy is more nuanced, reflecting her abilities as a strategist and a symbol of female empowerment. Alexander the Great, heroic conqueror or ruthless tyrant. Alexander the Great, the Macedonian king who created one of the largest empires of the ancient world, remains a deeply complex figure. Born in 356 BCE, Alexander ascended to the throne at just 20 and quickly embarked on a series of military campaigns that expanded his empire from Greece to Egypt, Persia, and parts of India. His tactical genius and charismatic leadership earned him admiration, and his battles, especially those at Gaugamela and Issus, are studied to this day in military academies worldwide. However, Alexander was not universally beloved. His relentless drive for conquest led to the destruction of entire cities and the deaths of thousands. He showed little tolerance for dissent, executing several of his own officers, and his adoption of Persian customs alienated many of his Macedonian followers. After his death in 323 BCE, Alexander's empire quickly fragmented, highlighting the unsustainable nature of his vast conquests. Despite his flaws, Alexander's legacy endured, with later leaders like Julius Caesar and Napoleon admiring his accomplishments. His cultural impact, known as Hellenization, spread Greek language, art, and ideas across the ancient world, influencing societies for centuries. Today, historians view him as both a visionary strategist and a figure whose ambitions came at a high human cost, reflecting the duality of his legacy. Genghis Khan, the barbarian or the great unifier. Genghis Khan, born Temujin around 1162, rose from humble beginnings to unite the Mongol tribes and create one of the largest empires in history. By the time of his death in 1227, he had conquered vast territories across Asia and Europe, impacting countless cultures and civilizations. Contemporary accounts, particularly from regions affected by his conquests, describe Genghis Khan as a ruthless and merciless conqueror. Persian historian Juvayni recorded the devastation wrought by Mongol armies, describing cities reduced to ashes and populations decimated. Yet Genghis Khan was also an astute leader who implemented laws promoting meritocracy, religious tolerance, and trade, particularly along the Silk Road, which he made safer for merchants. In Mongolia, he is revered as a national hero, celebrated for his unification of the Mongol tribes and the establishment of an empire that brought stability and order to a previously fragmented region. Renaissance and Enlightenment scholars often dismissed Genghis Khan as a barbarian, but modern historians have recognized his achievements, noting his role in fostering cultural exchange and economic prosperity. His legacy today is complex. He is seen both as a fearsome warrior and a visionary leader who transformed the ancient world. Winston Churchill, wartime hero or problematic imperialist. Winston Churchill, Britain's iconic prime minister during World War II, is remembered for his steadfast leadership during the country's darkest days. His speeches and unyielding stance against Nazi Germany bolstered British morale and inspired Allied forces. However, Churchill's legacy is marred by controversy. Early in his career, he faced harsh criticism for his role in the disastrous Gallipoli campaign during World War I, which resulted in heavy losses for the Allies. Throughout his career, Churchill was known for his staunch imperialist views, opposing independence movements in British colonies, including Ireland and India. His resistance to Indian independence and remarks on racial hierarchy have drawn sharp criticism, particularly in light of the Bengal famine of 1943, which some historians argue was exacerbated by his policies. While Churchill is celebrated as a hero who helped secure victory in World War II, modern assessments of his legacy are more nuanced, acknowledging both his critical role in the war and his controversial imperialist stance. Today, Churchill's legacy reflects the duality of a leader who embodied both the virtues and vices of his time. Napoleon Bonaparte, military genius or power-hungry dictator. Napoleon Bonaparte, one of history's most famous generals and rulers, rose to power in post-revolutionary France and dramatically altered the course of European history. His reforms, particularly the Napoleonic Code, restructured France's legal system and became a model for many nations, impacting civil law frameworks to this day. Militarily, Napoleon was a brilliant strategist, known for his decisive victories in battles like Austerlitz and his tactical innovations. However, his ambition and relentless pursuit of expansion led to devastating conflicts across Europe, with millions of lives lost. His 1802 decision to reinstate slavery in French colonies, reversing earlier abolition efforts, tarnished his legacy, especially given the bloody revolts it provoked, such as the successful Haitian Revolution. Napoleon's reputation was also marred by the widespread propaganda spread by his adversaries, who portrayed him as a warmonger. Yet, while exiled on Street Helena, he shaped a narrative of himself as a misunderstood hero. His memoirs, published after his death, became wildly popular, painting him as a symbol of justice and innovation. Modern France is divided in its view of Napoleon, with some seeing him as a national hero and others as an authoritarian ruler whose conquests brought suffering. His legacy today reflects both admiration for his achievements and criticism of his authoritarianism. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history's most fascinating figures. From misunderstood heroes to controversial leaders, their legacies remind us how time reshapes even the most iconic reputations. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.